my lovelies, my name is Allure, but you can call me Laura Lee, and welcome to Majorette Mondays. Today we are going to be talking about how to make choreography. I have my handy dandy iPad that we're going to be using to help out because I wrote some stuff down. Hello my lovelies, come on in. Today we will be talking about choreographing dance routines, specifically Majorette routines, because that's what I'm familiar with. However, I think these tips and tricks can work for any style, honestly. I'm a coach and choreographer for Elite Empire Dance Team. I've choreographed for routines that have seen national stages like Buck or Die, and we're going to Warzone soon, so a lot of cool stuff. Outside of Elite Empire, I've been on a Latin dance team, a K-pop dance team. I've done classes in contemporary, hip-hop, jazz, so I have experience and I've seen a lot of different choreography, but this is how I go about making my own. These are the steps that I take when I choreograph. I will say dance is an art form, so it is subjective. Choreographers all have different processes, and I think the best part about creating art is figuring out what works for you and taking inspiration from other people. But there is no right or wrong way, and this entire vid is from a Majorette lens because that's what I do and that's what I enjoy. But again, you can literally take this for anything you do. So these are the three main steps that I go through when I choreograph. Number 1 is planning, number 2 is forming, and number 3 is creating. Those are like the different buckets. You'll see what I mean. You'll see what I mean. Step 1, planning. First, you need to decide on a song or a theme. Any form of art at its core is storytelling, whether it's painting, dancing, acting, singing. At its core, what you're doing is telling a story and entertaining. So I think it's important to keep that in the back of your mind. Like, that's the goal of the choreography, is to tell a story. And I think it comes into perspective when you think about people who came before us. The arts are like some of the oldest languages. Before people wrote stuff down or had verbal language to rely on, movement was how they told stories. Even in acting, it's very movement based, and a lot of it is body language. So you can choose to do an explicit theme or an ambiguous theme. An explicit theme is something that's very clear, like that's the dance is revolving around the theme instead of the theme revolving around the dance. So like a circus routine, that's explicit. Like that's, everyone knows what a circus is. You can understand just by seeing the costumes before the music even starts. You can maybe infer by like what they're doing. Maybe they're doing some acro, like you can infer what's going on. Or maybe it's a dance based on like a movie like Mean Girls, like the story is based on something else. These themes are more like in your face and obvious to the audience. For me, I love explicit themes. Even for stand battle, my dancers have themes for their dances. Sometimes they are because it's stand battle, like we're not going to go out there in a whole costume and do a movie, like it's not that. But there's stands based on stuff. For example, this stand right here is called Puppet, and it's like, you're a puppet, we're controlling you. And that's the point of the stand, like that's the story throughout the stand. Like it takes inspirations from puppets and is a diss at the same time. Like you look like a puppet. Well, not you watching, but like you get the point, you get the point. On the other hand, like ambiguous themes might be for your field shows or general performances. A lot of times the dancing is like the focus. It's not always there to be like a beginning, middle, and end, which is also like a Western type of storytelling. But yeah, ambiguous is more where it's like a mashup of songs and you're choreographing to the songs, and sometimes the songs have meanings and themes, but sometimes it's just dancing to dance, which is great. Like your uniform might not be a costume like a hamburger or Shrek. Like it's the dancing is there. It's the dancing that's the focus. In those type of dances, I think the theme has more to do with the tone that you're trying to set, more so than like the story. Like what type of feeling do you want the audience to leave with? Is it a pep rally? Are you trying to get the audience hype? Sorry, it's the airplane flying by. I don't even know if you can hear it in the camera. Okay, it's gone. Where was I? Oh yeah. Is it like a wedding and you're trying to make the audience cry and like feel the love? Like what is the tone? What is the feeling? And it's important for explicit themes as well, but I think ambiguous themes rely more on that than the story. So explicit, I think, is more story and character driven, and ambiguous is more emotion and tone driven, if that makes sense. This is just how I think of stuff in my head. It don't what the girls say on TikTok, it only has to make sense for me to do it. Something like that. Like, I need you to walk with me and understand a little bit. Like, just jump in my head. Once you've decided if you want ambiguous or explicit theme, now it's time to choose the songs or rhythmic accompaniment. Ooh, I can't speak. Rhythmic accompaniments that go along with your routine. I think songs and the rhythmic stuff needs to come first. I don't think it's like an option to go out of order. Like you need to have that stuff before you actually make up the dance. Unless it's a stand battle, because then it's no music. But I think that's a whole nother video. If you want that, let me know. But this is for like more so a field show, or I mean, stand battle, you know the tempo, but like we can talk about that in another video. Choosing songs or rhythmic accompaniments, I like if it's a theme, like if I'm doing an explicit theme based on a movie or something, I like to either use songs that reference that movie, songs that have to do with the story of that movie. For example, I think we did a long time ago, we did a Chucky theme, and we did Monster, the Nicki Minaj verse, where she's like, Bride of Chucky in this Child's Play. That, like, stuff like that I enjoy because I think it's like, oh, that's a little clever, but not every song needs to be that. Like, just something that gives off the same emotion as whatever you're trying to do, and you can throw in stuff here and there that fit whatever story you're doing. Even if it's like audio, I think that can help tell the story. But yeah, maybe the song mentions something about the theme, or the beat gives off the same dramatics you're trying to give off. Like, figure out what music you want to listen to. One thing I do hate that I've seen a lot recently is a lot of teams use the same songs. Like, they might start off with the theme song, and then it goes into, what's the song? Who you with? That song, I'm tired of it. Same thing with like Move to the Beat. That's, a lot of teams don't do it no more, but that was played out for a long time. I think those songs are cool, but it's like so much music in the world. You can find indie artists, you can find stuff in people's vaults. Like, dig deep. Not everything needs to be the same 5 Majorette songs. And there's so many Majorette songs to look through. Like, it don't have to just be Jersey mixes. You can look at Louisiana bounce music. Anything. Be creative. Pull stuff from anywhere, because you can dance to anything. Sometimes if you're doing an ambiguous theme, the lyrics already tell the story, so you don't even have to like think of a story. You're just dancing to the music. And that could help with thinking of moves or thinking of how to bring the routine together. Or sometimes there's no lyrics or there's no beat because it's like a poem or something. And then the rhythm of the speaking or the rhythm of the beat, if it's vice, you get what I'm saying. Like, the rhythm tells the story, or the pace of the song. But think of it like a stew. You're throwing in all these different dance elements. We're making a dance stew. And you need to eat it up, so your dancers can eat it up. Alright, so now you have your song and your theme, and you know what you want the dance to kind of feel like. But now it's time to actually really think and get in our heads and take whatever we're thinking in the back of our mind and actually start putting it out into the world. So you have your theme, your song or mix, and now you're going to do the following. 1, you're going to write out the number of 8 counts in the song, so you can determine how long this dance is going to be, and so you can know how many counts you're going to have to come up with. Y'all hear them geese? I'm going to keep going because I'm tired of stopping. I don't have much time. 2, you're going to note points in the song where the beat changes, or where there's inflections, or just different cool points in the songs that you can hear that you can transform into a movement. That's where I feel like the musicality gets lost sometimes. Like, if there's a point in the song where the music slows down, like, I love when I see dancers drag something out. Or if it's like a point in the song where it's like a ding, like, I love when it's like a movement, or like a boom, like something that hits on that thing. I think you need to note every single time that happens. You don't have to do something every single time that happens, but once in a while it's cool. Like, play around with the musicality, play around with the music. 3, you're gonna write down how the song makes you feel as a person. This is like 3A, 3B, 3C. Then you're gonna write down how you want the audience to feel, and then you want to write down how you want the dancers to feel. Number 4, and I'm gonna say this a billion times, I say it all the time, but dance is an art form. It's a form of storytelling. Choreography should complement the song or the whatever accompaniment you're using, while also allowing the dancers to fully express their artistry and showcase their skills. So for number 4, I want you to write down explicitly like your theme and what story you want to tell. It's perfectly okay from here to move on to the next step once you've got all this done, but I do know a lot of people like to spend a lot of time in this phase, and which is great. I know a lot of people like to make vision boards. That's an option. I think that's a lot. I don't really do that. But if that's you, if that's what will help you get this stuff out of your brain and out into the world, do it. I like to make a list of all the skills, stunts, tricks, whatever it is, like wow factors that I want to use in a routine, because I feel like Majorette, that's like really pushed. They want to see wow factors. And it doesn't have to be anything big. It could be like a really cute and technical leap section, whatever it is. But I make a list of all that I would like to use in the routine, and then I also make a list of the dancers that I know that can do that. And then when we're at practices, sometimes I'll take like 5 minutes and be like, hey dancers, like I need to know who can do this skill or who can do this trick, and then I add people to the list if they weren't already on there, or I take people off, they don't have it as well as I thought they did. And then another thing that you can do in planning that sometimes helps to get your brain wrapped around something is to create a pie chart. And this pie chart is to break down the elements of a routine. I hate seeing the same thing over and over again, and I'll get to that later when we get through the tips. So I like to create a pie chart sometimes. It doesn't always have to be a pie chart, and you don't always have to physically write it down, but in my head, I have an idea of like, I want this much bucking, this much strutting. For example, a majorette routine I might do would be like 10% jumps, 40% bucking, 15% kicks. But yeah, those are just some ideas. Step 2 is forming. This is where formations start to come to life and the routine starts to leave the page and like actually be physically existent. So we have all our stuff. At this point, you should be aware of how many dancers are going to be a part of the routine, but it depends. I know some teams like they do cuts before they teach the routine. Some teams, their entire team does routines. Whatever it is, and have an idea of how many dancers will be a part of this routine, because that helps with formations and knowing what you can and can't do. Because 3 people dancing, they're not going to be able to do a big lift stunt the same way a group of 10 or 15 will be able to do it. Like, they can't do a basket toss. Can they? I don't know, but there's limitations on certain group sizes, so have an idea of that first. I want you to know though that formations can be done before or after teaching the routine or creating the routine. I like to have an idea of formations before I teach a routine, because that way I can know how the transitions are going to be and how like close or far one formation is from another might make the transition need to be longer or shorter depending on what it is. The formations mold and change as I do them, but I do like to have an idea. Okay, so it doesn't have to be permanent. None of this has to be permanent, but just have an idea. I switch between an app and pen and paper when I do formations. The app I use is Arrange Us. I think it's also called For Me Online, but I'll post the app. This is the app. But it lets you put in like the dancers. You can rearrange the formations, and you can click through it. It'll show you their paths, things like that. I think it's really cool, really useful. But I also like pen and paper because I can like, sometimes just drawing stuff makes it stick better for me. So up to you. Pen and paper is always going to be that girl because you cannot replace the original. But, you know, For Me is great too. Some good pointers for formations are: formations should be interesting and dynamic, and they should change as much as needed in a routine. I don't think routines should be in the same place the entire time. You need at least a few formation changes. You're the chef though, so figure out how much seasoning your dance stew needs. Formations should be easily spaced and balanced, unless the dance calls for otherwise. So unless there's different groups or it like adds to the choreography for dancers to be out of place, or for there to be a formation here and a formation here, or like opposing formation, then avoid it. But you can have organized chaos. It still just needs to be organized in some way. Transitions between formations. Again, like I said earlier, you need to note and take into account how long the transitions between formations will need to be. Because if a dancer is going from this side of the floor all the way to this side of the floor, it's going to take a lot longer than a dancer going from here to here. Like, sorry, here to here. You can't see my hand in the screen, but like here to here, right? This to this is different to this to this. You need to take that into account. Make sure there's enough time, because especially with children, they like to rush stuff, especially if they feel like there's a need to hurry and like really get there, because it's only like an 8 count and they have to get from one corner of the gym to the other. Like, it's going to look a mess if they're rushing. And avoiding that at the beginning will help with these formation issues and having to rearrange multiple people instead of just making sure those dancers are where they need to be in order to get to somewhere else, or making sure the transition is long enough so they can get there without making the dance look chaotic. I like to keep formations close to each other, and I think I see it a lot with like UDA and stuff. I don't see dancers running from one side to the other. Like, the transitions are seamless, and I think this is like really underrated. I think a lot of people and a lot of teams, they like to do like a whole 3/8 counts of walking. To me, that's boring. I like to see the dance continue, so I like to keep my formations close. So the formation changes don't have to be 88 counts of walking. They can just do a little 4 count. They can even buck and move. Like, the dancing can move them. It doesn't need to be a skip or a run every single time. And sometimes it calls for a skip or a run. It just depends. Formations also allow you to place like stunts in certain places. They can let you figure out ripples, things like that. So formations are really important, and I think it should go before, but a lot of people do it after. Okay, so we're done forming. We have our theme, we have our songs, we have our formations, and the layout of the routine. Now is the final part, And the hardest part, creating the actual choreography. There's a lot of different methods, so I wrote down my favorites, but I think you can use a bunch of them and mix and match until you get the product that you need. The first method I have is freestyle and record. First, you need to be in a safe space where there's no judgment, and you're going to set up your phone or camera or whatever it is, and you're going to play the song or the mix or whatever it is, and you're just going to freestyle. Don't think about it, just move your body, and you're going to do that a few times until you feel like you're satisfied or you feel like there's nothing left in your brain. It's going to be like a natural expression of what you and your body feel when you hear the music. Do not try to choreograph during this time. Just dance. You are just dancing. Like at the freest, most vulnerable form of dancing. Like you're just dancing. Do not try to choreograph. Just dance. Just dance. And you're going to watch these back and you're going to pick out moves that you did and did not like. And then you're going to be able to piece stuff together. Number 2 is to seek inspiration. If you have the pie chart and list from earlier, you can pull inspiration from these. So if you have the list of what your dancers are already good at, stuff you know that they're good at, you have their pros, like you as a coach or as a choreographer, you should know like what your dancers, like what their strengths are. So you can highlight what they're already good at. Do they have good jumps? You can pick jumps that you like and you can put them in the places where you know jumps would be good at. You can also use it as a chance to challenge them. Is there something you want your dancers to get better at? This isn't the chance to be like, I want everybody to have back handspring. Not realistic. But if you know that they have a good single turn and you want to push them to get that double, you can put a double in the routine at that point. If they don't get it, you can change it back to a single. But like, challenge them a little bit. YouTube and social media is also a great place to pull inspiration from. Do not copy. That is not what I'm saying to do. You can cater to your theme and you can watch videos based on it. How do the characters move? If it's based on a movie or like an animation, how do the characters move? If it's an animal, how do the animals move? If you are doing a boxing routine, watch a match. How do the boxers move? What do they be looking like? Animals, how does a snake move as opposed to like an owl or a lion? Like, how do these people and these things move? It doesn't have to be watching other routines. You can pull from real life inspirations. But you can also watch routines and things from like individuals or teams that you already admire. Do not steal full 8 counts. But if there's a single move or like a movement that you enjoy, like I don't see the harm in taking that one single movement and making it your own. Or maybe you like a ripple. You can look at the ripple and you can change it up and make it like unique to yourself or your team. I think in Majorette, a lot of the moves, like there are standard moves in each dance style. Like tap has standard moves, jazz has like ball change, kick ball change, whatever it is. Like there's so many different standard moves that you can add your own flavor to, and you can rearrange moves to change it and make it new. But don't take a full routine and try to pass it off as your own. That's so disrespectful to the dancers who, or the choreographers who came up with the routine in the first place, or the dancers who competed that and put all that hard work into it to make it their own. Make your stuff unique to you. You can also look at formations or small moves and stunts and derive stuff from there. So how can you make a move your own? You can change your arm from being like straight to bent during a move. You can change your hand position. You can change the order of movement. You can flip it around and reverse it, like Missy said. The third method is the leading move method. So say you freestyled or you have your inspo, you have a move that you really like, but you don't know what to do from there. The leading move method is when you take a movement that you have, like say I'm reaching up, where can your body go from here? Like what is the most natural or like plausible way for your body to move from here? I mean, you can always go up or you can go to the side. I think like in acting, something that is said all the time, like choose what's most interesting. Don't always do what's safest or what's the most natural. You have to sometimes do what's most interesting. So is just reaching up more like interesting than reaching down? Like what is it? And sometimes the soul like already knows where to go next. Like you have to feel the dancing in your soul. The next method is something it's cute sometimes, like the song thing. Like if you're doing a song based on a theme and the song has like a lyric that goes with the theme, like it's cute sometimes, but when it's overdone it's but choreograph to the music. And by that I mean like if it says Sally is running, you're running. Don't be too like literal. You can take like a little like, you know, a little liberty here and there. And it's also subjective. Like different judges, different individuals like different things. So do what you enjoy, but play around with stuff. Don't do the same thing every single time. You don't want to be like a one-trick pony. You want to change it up. Keep people guessing. So when they do try to steal your choreography, because you're going to be the next big thing, you can be like, well, I already moved on from that. Like, we're past that. That was when I was back then. Now we're doing even bigger and even better things, and you gotta wait until my next move to catch up. When I say write it down, I mean write it down. Here are some examples of how I write my choreography. Obviously, there's different ways to do it. Do whatever works for you in your brain. But sometimes I just write down the amount of 8 counts and kind of an outline of what I want to happen each 8 count. And other times I write down each specific move I want to happen and what count in the 8 count I want it to happen on. Sometimes I label my dances and I already have dances created or 8 counts created that I just put into routines. So I just write the name of the dance or the 8 count. Sometimes I also add in what formation I want on each 8 count so I can have an idea of when they need to transition. But yeah, here's just a good outline. Here are just a few tips. So now you have like your 4 or 5 different methods of creating choreography. Here are some tricks and tips that can make the choreography even better and just make it more interesting. Number 1 is seamless transitions. I feel like in Majorette, I said it earlier, I went on a whole rant, but I'm right again. I feel like in Majorette, we have a lot of like just walking and stuff like that. And walks are so important in Majorette, but sometimes the routine is half walking and barely any dancing. It needs to be a good balance. Because I think too many 8 counts of walking or transitioning takes the audience out of the dances. It's like, I'm not even being entertained anymore. It's just like I'm watching people walk around. And a lot of times, like, they be like walking around looking like confused, like they don't know where they're going. Just make the dance a little bit more seamless. You can transition without doing walks. You can also transition by dancing. Like, there's ways to transition without doing that low run and stuff like that. That stuff works. It works and it's needed sometimes, but there's also other ways to transition and make stuff look cool. 2, downtime. Remove as much downtime as possible. Same thing with the walking. I hate to see a team just standing there waiting for the next song to drop. If the song is a part of your mix, you need to be doing something to it. Same thing with like the talking and stuff during routines. Using voice over audios is cool, but if that's half the routine and you're not dancing, there's nothing for me to like be entertained by. You're not telling me a story. You're not entertaining me. You're not giving me nothing to look at. You're just standing there. Dumb. But it's also hard because like still movements can be just as important as times when people are moving. Like you standing there like looking can be just as impactful as like whatever. But but those have to be purposeful. I'm talking about like when teams or people just standing there, they're waiting for their next spot. Like, a lot of that can be X'd out if there's nothing going on. Like, there's moments of emotion and dragging stuff out and really, like, feeling something, and then there's just, like, standing there doing nothing. Don't be the second. Levels. Dancers don't have to do the same thing at the same time every single time. Like, there can be levels. There can be dancers standing, dancers doing floor work. Make it dynamic. Make stuff different. So we can look around and we feel like, wow, like it should make a pretty picture at the end. But like people can do different things, or they can be doing stuff that's complementary to each other, just at different levels. Like, and by levels I mean like people standing, people sitting, people in the middle, people being thrown in the air. Like there's levels to this. Make sure you're changing your levels. Next one is speeding up stuff and dragging stuff down. The routine doesn't have to be one note throughout. Even if the song is fast or the tempo stays the same throughout, you can still drag out movements. You can drag stuff out. Make the routine interesting. It shouldn't be like a one note thing the whole time. Also, like a lot of times music does like already cue you when stuff is supposed to happen. Or you can even do the opposite. Like when the music speeds up, slow the movements down. When the music slows down, speed the movements up. Like you can play around with stuff. Stuff doesn't have to be the same thing. There's no rules to this. And I feel like a lot of times, like routines look like people are just following rules. There are rules like be clean, be together, like technique. But like when it comes to choreography, like there's no rules to say what's good or isn't good. Play around with stuff. It's not always going to stick with the judges. It's not going to stick with the audience. But it's creativity. Like not every painting gets sold. Not every musician makes it. Like, but if you're not playing around, if you're not doing stuff, if you're not being different, like it's going to be boring. It's going to get boring after a while. You're going to fall off. This is the last time. I'm just ranting. I'm just getting stuff off my chest. But don't be repetitive. I be seeing teams do the same thing for 3 8 counts. That is so boring. And your dancers deserve better than that. And you are better than that. And your dancers are better than that. Even if they're new, even if they're little, they can learn. People, I feel like we underestimate children so much. They're not dumb. They are very capable, and they just need someone who's going to push them in order to become their best. You can teach them stuff that is more difficult, okay? They are able to catch on to stuff. It might be harder, it might take longer, it might be difficult for them at first. They might cry. Adults might cry if they're doing something hard, like that they're not used to. But if they're constantly getting fed the same 3 8 counts over and over again, the same 2 movements, nothing new is changing, they're not growing as dancers. They're literally just memorizing movements, and it's like, it's not the same as being a dancer. Because being a dancer, if you're getting a new movement, like at some point as a dancer, you should be able to tackle it and feel more confident while tackling it without ever actually having done the movement before. I feel like a lot of dancers, they get used to the same 5 movements, so once they're hit with all this new type of choreography, like they decide to quit or they just can't handle it. Whereas if you're constantly being challenged, or you're constantly challenging and trying to level up your dancers, when they do get that harder movement and stuff like that, they'll go for it. It's going to be a big difference. Finally, just dance. You are dancers. We are dancers. We are dancing. I see so many teens getting caught up in the tricks and like jumping off the basketball hoops and hanging from chandeliers, and that's great and that's fine, like that's amazing, the audience loves it, but it's not for everybody. Remember your end goal as a coach, as a team. It's fun to do and watch, but it's not for every single dancer, and I feel like a lot of dancers get left behind or they get stunted by trying to do all of these tricks and stuff and they don't have their basics down. I also see teens just like try to imitate that, and that's not them, and then they end up falling short. Get the basics down first, and that's what you build with. And that's with everything. Like, if you can't write a proper sentence, why are you trying to write a novel? Or if you've never learned multiplication and division and you sign up for a calculus class, what do you expect to happen? It doesn't add up. The foundation and building blocks are needed, and once you have that foundation, you can build upon it and you can change stuff up whenever. You can enhance stuff, but if you don't have the foundation, everything's going to tumble down eventually. But I frequently see teams that have so many pop-ups and death drops and everything, and half their dancers aren't landing it, so it's like 5 minutes of people falling out of stuff. It doesn't eat. Get the basics down first. It's okay to not be a trick team, and it's okay to be a trick team. Know yourself and your goals. As a coach, where do you want your dancers to end up? Will this get them on their college team? Is that the goal? Or will this get them on those concert stages? Will this even help build their confidence? And most importantly, for me, in my opinion, how are you creating art and how are you impacting and changing lives with your choreography and your dancing? That's all for me. If you have any questions or comments or anything you want to get off your chest, or if you disagree with me, no problem. Like, comment below. We can talk, we can chat. I enjoy hearing people's opinions. I enjoy hearing people's perspectives. But yeah, create some good choreography, create art, and remember, it's okay to fail. It's okay to try stuff and it not be good, but what's not okay is giving up, and what's not okay is not getting better. As long as you're trying and as long as you're persisting, you will get better. Your choreography will get better, your dancers will get better, and you as a human being and as a coach will get better. But you have to put in the effort. And so I hope this helped out. If it did not, or if you have more questions, or if you have more concerns, or if you want even more tips, please feel free to comment below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you got something from this video, and I would really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe. I do videos on art, not just dancing, dance, acting, painting, or just like lifestyle content. So if you're interested in getting to know me a little bit more and keeping up with Majorette Mondays, please take a second to subscribe. Love you, my lovelies. Mwah! Bye-bye!